Welcome back to my channel. It is now week 12 of the NFL season, and it is time for my official week 12 power rankings. I did fall behind a little bit and happened to make this after the Thursday night game. I did think that the Steelers would win the game, so it wouldn't impact my rankings. However, the Steelers lost, so it will impact my rankings. Unfortunately for the Steelers, I do have to say with confidence the Browns are not good enough at 3-8 to make it to my rankings. But anyways, starting off, of course, at number 10. At number 10 on my list is a team, of course, that would have been shocking to start the year off, and that is the Denver Broncos, led by Bo Nix and Sean Payton, and of course their excellent defense. I'm not going to talk about their defense that much because we all knew it was going to be amazing. What is surprising is that Bo Nix is looking like potentially the best rookie quarterback this year, ahead of Jaden Daniels, who was the runaway favorite the first month or two of the season. But since October hit, Bo Nix has turned it on, and Jaden Daniels has turned it off. So, anyways, the Broncos are a serious team that could beat almost anybody. They blew out the Falcons, who are not a bad team. Then at number 9, this may feel a little low because you watch them and you think they're great, but that is the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, they can beat anybody. Their offense has as many weapons as you could possibly need. However, they are inconsistent. They have lost too many games. They're 7-4. How can you act like it's one of the best teams in the league when they have 4 losses? So, yes, they can beat almost any NFC team, I would say, especially NFC when they're not used to playing against Lamar. But in division games, or even in conference games, they seem to struggle. They've just lost too many games for me to have them any higher than number 9, but Lamar Jackson, being one of the best players in the NFL, keeps them in the top 10, of course. Then at number 8, just ahead of them, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is, of course, because the Steelers always beat the Ravens. However, they did, as I mentioned earlier, lose to the Browns, so they did fall down the rankings a little bit. I'll give them half of an excuse for the snowstorm against the Browns, but even before the snowstorm, the Browns were still beating them. I am a little concerned for the Steelers because the past 2 games, their offense has become a little anemic. We started off seeing Russell Wilson. We thought, oh, the answer is here. This is a complete team, good offense, good defense. But the past 2 weeks, Russell Wilson has not been that great. And I'm not exactly sure if it's because of him, his weapons, the play calling. I tend to think it's probably the offensive line, but it's not like the Steelers are going to fix their offensive line. At number 7 is the team in Los Angeles, and no, I'm not talking about the Rams, I'm talking about the Los Angeles Chargers. They have a very, very good defense. It's amazing what good coaching can do because they weren't nearly this good last year, led by a Bosa and a Mack truck, and they're a very scary defense. All of a sudden, the AFC West has 2 of the best defenses in the NFL. On the other side of the ball, they can run the ball extremely well, and they have someone named Justin Herbert, who happens to be one of the most talented players in the NFL. Then at number 6, I have the Green Bay Packers. They did lose to the Lions, and honestly, they should have lost to the Bears. So they are slipping a little bit. But their defense and their offense just has so much potential. They're playing well enough. They are 7-3, and I think by the end of the year, Jordan Love with his wide receiver core can really turn it on, and they could be a scary wild card team. Not saying they're going to beat the Lions or anything. At number 5 is the Minnesota Vikings. I was thinking they were falling apart, but they managed to stick around. They're still 8-2. If you ask me, honestly, I thought they had lost 3 or 4 games, but they hadn't. It felt like it. But they have steadied the ship. They've won 3 games in a row. 8-2. Their defense is very confusing for opposing quarterbacks with a great defensive coordinator, and of course they have Justin Jefferson and Sam Darnold. A weird mixture, but it's working so far this year. At number 4, this is a really big drop for the NFL's best team, former best team, and I said they were going to be number one until they lost, no matter how bad they looked, and finally they lost, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are now 9-1, and quite simply, they look like, I don't know, the 7th or 8th best team in the NFL based off on-the-field performance, because their defense isn't quite as good as it was last year, and their offense doesn't seem to be as good as it's been in years past. They have found ways to win every single week. I don't know how, other than Patrick Mahomes magic and Andy Reid magic, but finally they lost, so I can finally remove them from the number one spot and put someone who's a little bit more deserving, and I'm sure we all know who that is. But before that, have to get there. At number 3 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been on an absolute tear since their bye week. They have won 6 games in a row. They have dominated pretty much everybody that they've played. They even beat the Commanders by a good bit. And their defense, once again, this is like this whole top 10 listing of good defenses. I don't know if there's a team. There isn't a team on this top 10 that has a bad defense. Actually, no, that's not right. The Ravens have a bad defense. So 9 out of 10 of my top 10 teams have really good defenses. So it does show that defense does matter in today's NFL. But of course, to be truly elite, you also need a good offense, which the Eagles have behind Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. But we already knew that. They just need to get a little bit more consistent and a little bit less big play reliant. At number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. They just beat down the Kansas City Chiefs by 9 points. Good victory. They do kind of beat them a lot in the regular season and then lose in the playoffs. We'll see how it turns out this year. But this has been a really good performance by Josh Allen, the head coach, the defensive coordinator, just a really complete team. They don't have too many star flashy players, but they play really well together. And that just leaves one team for number 1. The clear choice is the Detroit Lions. They've been winning games by like 40 or 50 points. It feels a little bit like Alabama playing, I don't know, maybe Chattanooga. It's kind of what it's felt like watching the Lions recently. They've just been absolutely blowing teams out with minimal effort. Their defense is shoring up the passing defense. Their offense is extremely complete. This just clearly looks like the best team in the NFL. They have a 159-point differential, which is about 50 points more than second place. Clearly, best team in the NFL right now. So anyways, that's kind of my top 10 rankings. What's your top 10? Leave it down below. Like, subscribe for more NFL videos, and I will see you later.